Hello everyone, welcome back for another book review. So today we are talking about this one, Basic Witches, How to Summon Success, Banish Drama, and Raise Hell with Your Coven by Jaya, and I'm gonna mispronounce her last name, like Saxena? And Jess Zimmerman. So to start off with the book itself, like the physical copy, gorgeous. Whoever was in charge of the artwork for this and like the formatting did a fantastic job, because like the artwork is adorable, it's cute, it's not helpful, but the artist who did it definitely did fantastic. A lot of representation of various different people out there, and so again, artwork wise, stunning. It does come with its own little ribbon bookmarker, which is awesome. We're trying to find the positives because honestly this book is not really worth the while to buy. So I initially had read this book in 2020 and I made a review of it, maybe in 2019, I can't remember. It's been a couple years. And I just tore it to shreds because it is terrible. However, I don't know that I actually paid attention. Like, again, I've gotten a lot better on my review process for books. And there was one sentence and like one paragraph that really stood out, and that's where the rest of all of my notes were kind of based off of that got diminished. So on page 13, and this is one that I will talk about, but the rest, because I do have quite a few notes here, is going to be on my Patreon. That's where I do my extended discussions where we go through a lot of different quotes and things from books that I want to delve into a lot more, but it's going to take way more time of a video, and it's just a nice little perk for my patrons. But we're gonna just do this one because it is super vital to knowing why this book is terrible. Especially for my audience. If you're coming to my channel, you kind of know roughly what you're getting into. I've been a witch for 13 years. I do witchcraft. I practice witchcraft. I honor the old gods. I like to cast spells. I like to do ritual. I like to read cards. I like to throw runes. You know, I like to do that stuff. And this book isn't for me, but I will read it to you so you also can understand why. So again, this is page 13. Modern day self-identified witches and pagans and Wiccans, different groups that share common beliefs, are trying to rescue the witch from haters and scoffers alike. They have resurrected old religions and traditions and sometimes combined them to create new communities. Witches of all stripes, from the religious to the spiritual to the secular, gather in covens or practice alone, defying cultural stereotypes about witchcraft as dangerous or ridiculous. They find power in a goddess or nature or themselves. This book isn't for them though. They're all set. This book is for you. I don't know who you is for that quote, but from that stance, this book is not for my audience. It's not for me, most definitely. And the only audience I can kind of guesstimate this is aimed for is teen girls who want self-empowerment. And on TikTok, I don't know how many people's feeds have got this trend going, but it's a thing that's been on mine occasionally. Because if you don't know, TikTok's really weird. It just, the For You page is just like a hot mess of like whatever the algorithm decides to send you. And so occasionally you'll get these videos to pop up, and it's this thing of like entering your villain era. Basically what happens is that you are honoring your own boundaries. In the villain era that people have, typically you're putting yourself first. You're very like selfish and like really honing in on the idea of the villain, where you're not putting the world above yourself, you're putting you first. And a lot of times you know, dress how you want, you don't care what society's gonna say, to some degree obviously. I mean, there's certain laws in place, but for the most part, you wear what you want, and you basically just have boundaries. And you're telling people, no, you're not sacrificing for others, it's about you. And people look at that as like your villain era. And with that kind of thing in mind, this felt like they were kind of taking the idea of the witch in pop culture and using that kind of vibe for trying to empower yourself while constantly making a mockery out of actual witchcraft. And their only references really are pop culture. So we're talking Charmed, The Craft, a little bit of like Bewitched, Harry Potter, not actual witchcraft. And they do mention things from actual witches, such as tarot cards, tea leaf readings, doing spells, and like even elements of spells that we would particularly consider witchy. You know, you have candles and herbs and crystals and things. And yet it's still as a mockery to witches. So the premise of this book really is just empowering. It says women. I'm gonna be honest, it feels like it's almost like a Teen Vogue type writing. It's aimed at teen girls. And I would say, honestly, younger teen girls at that, because just the way they talk, the way the stuff is presented, it really feels like it's aimed at like 13, 14-year-olds, not even 16, 17, 18 per se, but I don't know, generations change all the time, but for me, like, that was the age group it felt like that was kind of pandering towards, but then would also bring up like very adult topics that really don't need to be much there for like teen girls per se. It was bad. It was really bad. A few people have said that it seems kind of like hating men, and it does have this like condescending tone. If you, like, they kind of mention that it's like, well, if you want to not be, you know, feminine and you're more masculine or you're a man, you still need to work on your femininity. And I'm like, why? Why though? Why? It just, this book I really wanted to do not finish, which is like a thing on Goodreads in particular. I really wanted to, because after I read that and I continued reading a little bit more on what their definition of a witch is and their definition of magic and how it's not a thing, and again, constant mockery of actual witchcraft, it got old. It got old real fast. And honestly, I hate this book. And the fact that it doesn't even like try, because at least the other books have tried, and that's not saying much. I just talked about my banished books of 2022 because I'm planning on doing these in October. No, it doesn't make sense. It should be at the end of the year, but it's fine. We're doing it in October. These books in particular, I can't. They're terrible. But at least those books tried. The Moon Magic, Not Magic, the Kitchen Witchery book, like even Curses, that book, I hated it, but it at least kind of vaguely tried. Even Year of the Witch, which was really one of the worst, better than this one. Because again, this is just making a mockery out of actual witchcraft practices. And it's just playing off of witchcraft as a pop culture thing and just another archetype kind of thing. They don't use that term, but it's kind of what it ends up being, that you're just trying to emulate in your life. And again, making a mockery of it left and right. If you don't believe me, and you happen to see a copy out on a shelf somewhere, flip through to like the image pages. They're all bad, all of them. And not the chapter pages, those are gorgeous, but the actual content pages that have pictures, they're all pretty bad. So anyways, this is a book I've had for a few years, and I am definitely putting it on my banished list. So anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one, or if you have any books that you would like me to talk about, leave those in the comments down below. Thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names over here. If you'd like to support me and get access to the extended discussion for this, I will have the post linked in the description here. That way we can go through all of the quotes, because I do have quite a few that we'll be talking about over there. Patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.